morning. Bill here from Bill's Gardening, aka Happy Days. And Happy Days Redworm Farm is a major component of growing, because I use worm compost and worm teas in for the fertilizer aspect of making plants happy. And when plants are happy, they grow. So today my friend Hip is behind the phone and he's recording for me. I've laid out my bins. They're ready for the starter mix. The starter mix, or the bedding for the worms, the red worms. What do they like? The red worms like a little bit of sand, a little bit of bark, a little bit of leaf, a little bit of compost, and that's the starter mix. Then I'll go ahead and feed them. And in feeding the worms, they're working through the bedding and the food itself, so it all comes together. It takes 6 to 8 months before a bed is finished, and then I pick these containers back up, take them to the shop, dump them, and run them through a big machine that takes all the worm casting and the worm seed out, the worm cocoon, the egg. But yesterday I made most of my mix, and so this is what the mix looks like. This is a compost that's made up of horse compost, cotton compost, leaf compost, pro mix, a little bit of sand, and that is really good base for the worms. And this is what I put in the bins for a starter mix. It'll be better after it gets 2 or 3 rains on it to help the pH, because the worms love a pH of neutral. Slightly acidic, maybe a 6.5, so that they can feed. They love to feed on microorganisms and protein, because that's their diet. Worm diet essentially needs protein. Protein for a worm is like protein for us. It gives us energy. And a happy red worm is doing 3 things. A red worm will do, it loves to move around. It's a very active worm, and mating and cocoons. It makes a lot of children. So the children take a lot of energy. And then the third thing is it's in its nature to crawl. I call them soil swimmers. They swim through the soil. They can move fast too by standard. It's pretty cool. I'll let Hen take a quick video of me filling the containers with my loader. Forgive me, I haven't had time to clean my loader. It's dirty, but it is a machine that gets the job done for me. Hoping to be bigger, but you know, the bigger means more work. I do a lot of work now, so I've got about 60 bins for worms. Need to up that about to 90 or 100 for the summer of next year. Like I say, this is going to be worm castings for June and July of next year.
Thưa cô chú anh chị, sáng nay Hiệp lại đến Bill Farm để xem Bill ủ trùn từ cái đất mà đã qua sử dụng rồi đó quý vị. Mr. Bill bắt đầu chuyển những cái thùng đất ra phía sau vườn để cái ủ đất cho trùn nó sinh sản. Cái thời gian mà trùn lớn sinh sản khoảng 6 tháng đó.
is behind the phone, and he's doing a wonderful thing for me because I don't really have time or the expertise to be able to do videos, and I know that I need to make my video short. So I showed you the first segment where I was building the containers to start the next step. And the next step is to establish a worm colony, a red worm colony, and then slowly over a period of time they'll get to be an established bed. These bins here are my worm tea bins, and I use the worm teas in a bigger container, and then I augment different things in my worm tea so that it can establish the plant health or vitality so that it can grow. This is you heard of black gold for worm compost. This is the worm tea. This tea is what's basically lychee from the bins, from the worms. And I don't, these bins are 3 months old. They're not they're well established, but they're getting more. Let me get a good one going. Some are better than others. Put it that way. And that's a better bin. These are getting established. There's more worms in them. They're laying cocoons, and they're feeding on what my food stock is. This is some of the original, what I call a byproduct of my screener that goes through. This has the worm cocoons in it, and the bedding that didn't make it into the for the worm casting. Yeah, there you go. That's an established bin. When you have handfuls of worms that you can pick up, that's an established bin. Of course, you might notice where this bin has dropped down considerably too. They've eaten through a lot of the material, and this is all worm casting. This is the worm casting itself. This is what's prized. This will end up going into my soil, so that the soil fertility for the bag soils will be what I need for others, because I promote that. It's what this one here again is getting established. These are younger, junior. These are all new hatch worms, because the size I can tell. So they got about another 3 to 6 months before it gets to the point to where I'll harvest this bin for worm castings. But they're going. And when you're doing 60 or 80 bins, I try to do a harvest of 5 of these bins every 2 weeks, so that I can have roughly 2,000 pounds of worm casting, so that I can drop into, that'll go into about 300 bags of soil, 2,000 pounds, which that's only about, let's see, let's do the math. 2,000 divided by 5 is 400. 4 times 5 is 2, add zeros. So for about 2,000 pounds at 5 pounds per bag, we'll do about 400 bags. So that gives you about what I do for every 2 weeks. So I guess the proof is in the pudding. That's kind of interesting to say. That's one of the ads, one of the things that I say. Proof is in the pudding. These are all working bins that have leaves in them. I get around to doing it. But on the other side of my little vegetable trailer that we sell our vegetables at farmers market, I've got some mustard green. And if you want to scan to the right, that's more of a in the ground mustard green. But these are actual worm bins with my soil in them. And there's red worms in these bins. So the red worms are in there culturing the soil for the plants to use. And I call this my special stock for the harvesting the mustard green, because these mustard greens are so good. And of course, if you want to, this is also very special. These are beets. I wanted a winter crop of beets so I could have beets in January and February. And so I did a container, and it's easy to cover these with plastic, because everything I got to do is cheap, because money for vegetables is interesting, because you don't find that many folks willing to pay. But there's a good bit of red worm in these containers that will go through the compost that I have in here, which is my soil mix. And with that being said, they're creating fertility in the soil, and this is the result, or you know, the proof is in the pudding, you might say. These will all be ½ pound to a pound when they finish. There's some good size to them now. They're about an inch and a half around. No, they're about 1 inch around. And they'll continue to grow even though it's freezing, because I have them covered with plastic. And one thing I really like about winter is I'm not in a big battle with weeds. You got really fertile weeds, you got really fertile soil, you're going to have really fertile weeds. Because that's something that you can't get away from wind-blowing weeds. They're always going to be there. And of course, oh, there's 2 things right here. That's a red worm, and then you got this. Some of that has to do with mycelia and mycorrhizans. You have fungi in the soils, and the fungi in the soils create fertility for the plants, because you have a symbolic relationship between the plant root and the soil itself. Ah, there's my second son, the 2-year-old. Oh, there's my 1-year-old tiger. He's climbing through the The turnip green.
Hey.
Oh my gosh.
Hey.
So cute. He's crawling up on us. He was crawling up on us.
Hi.
Yes.
Hello.
Let me see if I can pull a quick plant here.
Yeah.
This is actually a volunteer. There's redworms in my garden soils too. So yeah, that's a baby redworm. And this is all compost amended with the horse compost. The fertility of this soil is absolutely the best. Only because you put in the dynamics into your soil for protein, NPK, nitrogen, phosphate, and potassium, and then I will actually won't disturb this soil come spring. This is ready to grow on for next year, so I try not to till after I've tilled for 3 months, because you get an established colony in your soil for microbes and everything. And this is a really nice turnip right here. All right, that's what I was looking for. So this right here is mycelia or mycorrhizan. I don't know the difference between the two. It's like a white fuzz, and that's what's feeding. That's what's to help to feed the plants. This has not been tilled since last year. You can see it right here, and that shows you the health of your soil when you see the stuff like that in your soil. Oh, there's plastic from last year. There's a bunch right there. See all of this right here? That tells me that this soil is feeding the microbes, and mycelia and mycorrhizan are feeding on the soil. And this in turn is a symbiotic relationship, what's going on with your soil and plant. So these two things here produce the fruiting of your plant. NPK is the rest. I grow turnip, not for the turnip itself, but just for the turnip green, because everybody loves turnip.
Nông trại của Bill và Diễm cũng có nuôi gà nữa, quý vị, nuôi gà để lấy trứng ăn. Đứng lên, đứng lên, stand up. Coi gà đi, coi gà đi. Ban ngày thì Bill Diễm thả mấy con gà này ra, ban đêm thì nhốt lại. Tránh những con trùn. Ở đây có con cáo nữa, nó săn bắt gà, thành thử lùa nó vào bên trong cái chuồng này. Bắt gà. Be careful nhá, be careful nhá, be careful nhá. Té. Leo lên hả? Thôi leo vô hả? Muốn leo vô hả? Thấy gì đó? Gà có chừng té coi. Ôi, cho gà ăn hả? Cho gà ăn hả? Cho gà ăn. Không biết cậu bé này có hiểu tiếng Việt không nữa quý vị cô chú anh chị. Rồi đi vô ha, vô anh ha, vô anh Vũ đây, vô anh Vũ. Vô. Adam nói tiếng Việt Nam được nhiều không? Nói tiếng Việt Nam được nhiều không? Nói tiếng Việt Nam được nhiều không? A little bit. Little. Nhìn những đứa trẻ mang hai dòng máu Mỹ Việt dễ thương quá, đang chơi đá banh cùng nhau nè. Thật như quý vị thấy vui không? Một lần nữa cảm ơn cô chú anh chị đón xem video. Sau khi xem nhớ cho Hiệp một like và một cái subscribe. Cảm ơn quý vị rất là nhiều.